Welcome to the Silicon Valley JavaFX user group. So we're a user group dedicated to doing different JavaFX technologies. You can see our website on the screen here. We have lots of sponsors who are helping us out. So our room here physically is provided by the Java user group is the Oracle Conference Center. And then we got some new books from, what's that core Java book? Pearson just sent us some new books. Pearson Education. Oh, books and training videos. We also get some website hosting from Linode, and JFrog pays our meetup costs whenever I bug Shlomi, which hasn't been in quite a while. So lots of folks helping out. And this is our first time doing a new format of event. So we have Johan Voss, who is joining us from Antwerp. Well, actually not Antwerp. Where do you live in?
It's Leuven.
Leuven, Belgium, to talk to us about JavaFX running on different mobile platforms. So we have a bunch of folks in the room here in Redwood Shores, eating pizza and hanging out. We have Johan in Leuven, and we have a live stream running where anybody can join us remotely. If you're on the live stream, tweet out to #nighthacking, and then I'll put those questions up on screen. Okay, so welcome, Johan. Thanks for joining us in the wee hours of the morning. What time is it over there now?
2:38 a.m.
Wow. So you're a real trooper. I would still be up at 2:38.
Yeah, but probably not at 3:30 when the presentation stops.
Probably not. Well, no, I've been known to stay up till 5 or 6 a.m. So, but probably not. This is morning for you, right? You woke up super early for us.
I haven't decided whether it's morning or evening yet.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the topic. What do you got to show us today?
So we'll talk about JavaFX on mobile. You probably heard this before. It's been announced in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But this time it's not talking about it. It's showing how to do it. So there's real code. It's working on Android. It's working on iOS. So there's no reason on why we shouldn't show code for having JavaFX on mobile.
Cool.
Want me to go to the slide deck?
Yeah, no, it's your presentation, man. Take it away.
Okay. Yeah, well, so it's 2:40 in the meantime, so send some pings every 5 minutes so that I'm stay awake. Okay, do you see the presentation?
Yep, we can see the presentation.
Okay. So first of all, Java on the one shouldn't actually be something new because Java started on the client, and maybe you remember this this device. It's the Star 7, which was the original device, hardware device that was used by the green team at the Sun in, I think this is 1992 or so. That they wanted to create a new device for doing lots of network stuff and home automation, video on demand, and they needed a programming language for it, and that's Java. That became then Java. So Java actually started on the client. It's not that we're doing something new now. We are back to where Java started. So initially, Java was targeting set-top boxes and video on demand systems. But back in 1990, X, where X is between 1 and 5, the market was pretty immature. So the business models were not very clear yet. And the cable providers were not eager to release control and to allow other applications to run on their devices. So that was a tough market for Java to get into. And then Mark Andreessen came around, and they said, well, if this is not the right market, then maybe the internet, which was starting to boom by then, is the right market. And it turned out that it was easy to create applets that run in a sandbox. And enhancing until then static websites. So the dynamic nature that was added by Java was huge, and so Java took off as mainly with applets as client applications on the internet. Then there was the era of the browser wars, and there were security concerns. So that part of the market shrinked as well. But in the meantime, it turned out that Java was excellent on the back end, and so the J2EE APIs were created, and third-party frameworks like Hibernate and Spring were used heavily. Also very important is that IDEs were created for Java, which allowed users to make it much easier to develop applications in Java. The server part was also more mature than, for example, video on demand or set-top boxes. So that was a more interesting and lucrative market for Java developers. The environments were very well known, and customers could host their Java applications on their own servers. So they were not dependent on telcos or third parties anymore. So that was a very good opportunity for Java. It was not where it was intended for, but it created lots of Java developers and lots of added value. So in the meantime, while most of the developers were switching to Java on the server, what happened to the client? Well, on the desktop, people were still using Swing, but then on the mobile and PDA, you had quite a lot of choices. So you could have a virtual machine, the KVM or the CVM. I probably missed some acronyms. So KVM was really smart, KVM was really small, CVM was a bit bigger. They had CDC, CLDC, was that connected device configuration and connected limited device configuration. On top of that, a number of profiles, MIT-P, PDA, foundation profile, and then PJava or My profile, which, if you put this in a 4-dimensional matrix, which leaves the developer with a high number of potential end configurations. And the result is that the client was very fragmented and not very attractive for Java developers to work on a client. And on top of that, there was also no easy way to deploy your applications to end consumers. And that was very pity for Java developers. And I really wanted to have Java on mobile in the very beginning, but it was extremely hard if you finally managed to write an application to distribute it then. And then JavaFX was announced by Sun, I think in 2007. And that was actually the client that, so that was Java on the client, but then rebooted, started from scratch again. So what happened in the meantime also with the fragmentation? There were the hardware became much better, of course, and there was also more attention for the graphical layer. So with GPUs appearing in smartphones and so, and the high-level APIs were much cleaner. So in JavaFX, which builds just on top of Java, you have just the Java I/O package. And you don't have to write a different input-output thread because you're on MIT-P and or because you're using JavaFX microedition.io. So it's just you write in Java. So there was a clear convergence between SE and ME. The deployment also changed dramatically, where it used to be extremely difficult to get your applications on mobile devices. The popularity of app stores, so the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, made it very easy for developers to create an application and to distribute it to millions. So the telco operator does not control anymore whether your application can be installed on a phone or not. It's now Google or Apple, and yeah, you're still they're still a party controlling it. But with all those apps that are created out there, that's not a bottleneck anymore.
Hey,
So that is JavaFX. But so what happened on mobile? In 2009, when JavaFX Script was released, there was a mobile component. And for those of you who remember it, there was a mobile phone. I think I can probably, if you see my screen now, you can see this phone.
Yep.
And I just took it off the dust because I haven't used it for many years. But this was a JavaFX enabled phone, which means that it was pre-installed with JavaFX, and that made it pretty unique.
Yeah, that's a classic.
It unfortunately it didn't become the big success as I hoped for, but I'm still glad that I have it. It might be very valuable in 200 years from now. So wanting to be the first working with Java on mobile, I bought 2 such phones, and then in October, support for mobile was dropped officially. It was, I think it made sense at that time when Oracle announced we're going to rewrite JavaFX so that it's going to be fully Java-based and not script anymore, and we're going to focus on desktop first. So we dropped support for mobile. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But then we were hoping, of course, for mobile to being reintroduced. So Java 1 2012, I hope that this is going to be the Java 1 where they're going to announce mobile again. And I hope the same in Java 1 2013, but it didn't happen. And then at a meeting in 2013, we had a meeting with a few Illustrator guys, and we decided to kick off JavaFXPorts, where we were going to work together with Oracle and create the JavaFX SDKs and run them on mobile. Because when the official support for mobile was dropped, there was still code being developed. So it was not released, but the code for iOS and Android was created along with the code for desktop, and that made it much easier for the community to port it, as we will explain later. So it's important to realize that this is not just a next attempt on getting Java on mobile. The time is really now for having Java on mobile, for a number of reasons. So first of all, devices are getting much more powerful, and there's standardization. You have basically 2 or 3 platforms, Android and iOS, maybe Windows, if you count them. And if you support those, you have 99% of the market. Also, there's a growing number of mobile devices. And at this moment, there are already more business transactions that are originating from a mobile device than transactions coming from a desktop system. And on mobile devices, people are rather using apps, native apps, and not web components. So native applications on mobile devices is really extremely valuable, and its value is increasing. So the time is really now to jump on that train. And the App Store maintenance, Google and Apple, make it pretty easy to distribute your applications. Now I created a screenshot of something on Google Trends, and the red line and the blue line represent something different. The red line is the evolution of search popularity of Swing, and the blue line is the evolution of search popularity of Java. So if you see, Swing is still very popular, no doubt about that, and it's been great. But if we zoom into the last year, you see that now finally, so blue is JavaFX and red is Swing. This year, the turnaround has been the switch has been made. So yeah, starting early this year, JavaFX became more popular in the industry than Swing was. So it's really so Swing is still important. It will stay important for a long time. But JavaFX is now gaining traction in the industry. So you might not always notice that, because JavaFX is often used inside companies that don't tweet or blog much about it. But the uptake over the last year is amazing, and so it's really the time is really now to work on JavaFX. And as we said before, mobile is going to be so important. So that combination, JavaFX and mobile, is, I think, a huge opportunity. So then, what did we do with JavaFXPorts? Okay, blame me for the name. I heard nobody likes it, but I'm also not allowed to change it, because many people know it by now. But JavaFXPort was actually sort of an answer to Jim Weaver. You know, Jim Weaver, author of Port JavaFX 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And his tweet handle is JavaFXPort. And so I thought it would be fun to name this project JavaFXPort, which actually explains the name. Now, JavaFXPort is using the code in the OpenJFX repository. So, well, probably all attendees know that the code for JavaFX is maintained in an open repository maintained by Oracle and mainly contributed by Oracle engineers. But it's called OpenJFX, and that repository contains all the shared code, and also the Android and iOS specific code is in there. It wasn't perfect yet, but we had to apply some changes, some Android and iOS specific changes, and that was not as hard as I assumed, because the code was already in such a great shape. So it turned out to be relatively easy. After that, we could release the JavaFX SDKs for mobile. So we have a JavaFX SDK for iOS and for Android. And from that moment on, it was possible for all developers to create applications and build Android applications and build iOS applications from your JavaFX application. But it was pretty. It was not that easy to start with a simple JavaFX application and create an Android or an iOS application from it, because there are a number of steps that are required in order to package your application and upload it to the App Store. So we created the Gradle plugin that made that packaging and deployment much, much easier. And we will show that in a minute. But let's explain it a bit. So both for Android and for iOS, there are a number of steps that are required before your application, your Java source code, is a native iOS application or a native Android application. And the JFX Mobile Gradle plugin, that's also part of JavaFXPort, uses those. It will perform those steps for you. It depends on the low-level tools, and it will convert your JavaFX application into the native application. So on Android, we're using the Android SDK, which is provided by Google. And the Android SDK contains lots of tools for converting Java bytecode into Dalvik bytecode, shrink it, bundle the resources, ask for permission, and so that's what the Android SDK is doing. And you don't have to call this yourself, because the JFX Mobile plugin will do this for you. On iOS, we use the RoboVM AOT to translate your JavaFX application and bundle it with the JavaFX Mobile SDK and some additional tools that we require. And then as a result, we can have a native iOS application. So RoboVM is providing the Java for iOS compiler. So you write Java source code, and with the RoboVM AOT, you can convert that Java source code into native iOS code. So what we had to do on top of that is porting the native functionality of JavaFX to native iOS functionality. But again, you don't have to worry about this, as the jfxmobile plugin is taking care of this. It's not only so far everything that I discussed was open source and spare time and fun. But then I realized that I spent lots of time on it. And then there were many questions from individual developers, but also from companies, small and big companies. And it's hard to get taken seriously if you do everything just in your spare time and if there's barely commercial support for it. And I think JavaFX on mobile can be such a huge market player, so that we decided to create a company on it. Gluon is specifically targeting Java on the client, especially on mobile. And Gluon provides commercial support and services and products. I think it's important to mention this ecosystem because it's the open source needs the commercial world and the other way around. It's hard to have an open source product that has no commercial support because companies want to get SLAs. They want to be able to call someone with questions, and they're willing to pay for that. And on the other hand, a commercial company in this area uses open source much more than they often realize. So in short, I think Gluon needs JavaFXPorts and JavaFXPorts need Gluon. So at this moment, most of the development in JavaFXPort is done by Gluon. So we invest a lot in it, but we also become better of it because we have customers that are saying, yeah, this looks fine on mobile, but you don't have, for example, this component yet. And then they actually pay the development of JavaFXPorts indirectly. So I think this ecosystem is very important, and I think we're at the right balance between doing as much as possible in the open source and still providing commercial support. And I really hope to see other companies playing in that area as well, because there definitely is a market. So Gluon has some free tools, for example, a scene builder. I'm not sure you heard that, but Oracle is not distributing scene builder binaries anymore, but Gluon is. We also distribute the JavaFX SDKs for mobile, and we created a few IDE plugins, and we're working on other ones. So that's all free, and you can download them from our site. Apart from that, we have some commercial tools. So we have Charm, which is a client library, which makes it possible to create user interfaces that use the material design concept. And we have Gluon Cloud, which is the bridge between your JavaFX application and legacy cloud systems, where we deal with data persistence and synchronization, for example. So that was the theory. I said a few times that it's easy now for developers to create applications, JavaFX applications on mobile. So I think we will show it now. So how would you get started? I will show some links in the very last slide. But the easiest way is to use NetBeans or IntelliJ and use the Gluon plugin, which we'll call the jfxmobile gradle plugin. Otherwise, you can download one of the samples and start modifying it. But for now, I will use NetBeans. So I will share the screen. So you can see my NetBeans now, I suppose.
Yep, it's working.
Okay. Thanks for keeping me awake.
Yeah, we're looking out for you. Oh, one question. So we had a question in the room if we could get the slides after the talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. After the talk, before I go to bed, I will share the slides.
Yeah, you're not allowed to go to bed until you share the slides.
Okay, sure. Dedication. So first of all, we have NetBeans. I use NetBeans for my development, but I know that the IntelliJ plugin works the same way. But I'm a NetBeans user, so I prefer to use this in demos. With NetBeans, you have a bunch of plugins. So one of the plugins that you have is the Gluon plugin. Oops. So we go to available plugins. We search for Gluon. Yeah, actually, I had it, but I uninstalled it to show how to start from scratch. And you see that the Gluon plugin is in the list of available plugins. You click on install, and you agree with the license. And it's so this is an open source plugin. You can use it to create commercial applications. No problem with that. So now we have this plugin, and we can go to we can create a new project. If you go to new project, you will see that the JavaFX category now has a basic Gluon application. So we create a basic Gluon application. We call it, for example, Silicon Valley FX Jug Gluon application. We want to support Android, iOS, and desktop. So we click on finish. And the application is now being created for us. I will close some other applications. So this is the application that we created. And you see that the plugin created a number of packages. Most important, the source and the resources that are shared for all platforms. It also created Android sources and resource, desktop sources, resource, iOS, Java, and resource. And you can use those for doing platform-specific things. And I highly recommend not doing any platform-specific functionality. We try to provide as much platform-independent functionality as possible, and we're extending that in another component, which is Charm Down OSS, which contains an abstraction over device specific functionality, like getting the location and so. So that is already an open source component that provides some platform-specific functionality, so that you don't need to duplicate that effort. Now, if we go to the single source file in the application, you see that this is a JavaFX standard application. There's nothing mobile specific in here. Actually, we can run it because it's a simple JavaFX application. And we run it on desktop, and then you see the hello world. I hope that fits nice on a big screen over there.
Yeah, it takes up very little of the big screen.
Yeah. You know that user interface development is something that I don't master very well. Good enough. I have excellent colleagues at Gluon to fix that. Now the gradle, we created this project with the NetBeans plugin, and it uses the jfxmobile gradle plugin to create some additional tasks. So Gradle is getting more and more popular. It's also the #1 tool for Android. So we decided to standardize on Gradle as well. Before I show the code on other devices, let's have a look at the build.gradle file that's automatically created by this plugin. The most important line is this one: apply plugin or JavaFXPorts jfxmobile. By doing so, and we will get all the tasks that will create the iOS installs and the Android installs. So yeah, actually, I first should have launched the iOS task because it takes a while. But if you go to the project and you go to tasks, you will see that, for example, we have here a group iOS where it can be compiled, and then we have a launch group where we have, for example, launch iPhone simulator. If we click on it, and the first time this is going to take a while, what is happening now is, so the plugin has a section on iOS. Actually, this is all auto-created. You don't have to change it. But for advanced usage, you can change it. But what will happen now under the hood is that the RoboVM ahead of time compiler is now used to compile all the classes, not only this Java class, but also the depending classes, which are the JFXRT, so the JavaFX runtime classes. But not only that, also the whole Java runtime is also compiled, because your application is bundled with the JavaFX runtime and also the Java runtime into a native iOS application. We know why Apple does not allow dynamic code execution on devices, so we have to pre-compile and bundle everything in advance. So, and this is the iOS simulator that shows up now, and that shows exactly the same application as the one that you saw on desktop. So there's in your application there is nothing iOS specific, and also there is no additional tools required. The only thing is you need to have Xcode. So it's working on Mac only. I heard there are some workarounds for this, but the RoboVM compiler is going to require Xcode. So that is, I think, how it works for iOS. In a simulator, you can also launch it on a real device, but I don't have an iOS device. I would be very happy to receive one, but you can, if you plug in a device over USB, you can run the application on that device as well. And if you just want to create the IPA, you can do that as well, and then upload it to the App Store. For Android, I fortunately do have an Android device, so I can show how to do the Android version on the device. So one of the tasks that's being created is the Android install task. If we click on this, we will now use some of the Android SDK tools. It's under the hood. It's again the plugin that's doing this, and it will compile our classes, bundle it with the JFXRT runtime and with the native libraries, make sure that the manifest is right, that the permissions are right, and then install it on the device. So I'll switch to presentation mode and show how it works on the device. But well, first let's see how it creates it here. So there are a number of processes. You probably hear my fan getting crazy. But at this moment, so the APK has been created, and it's finally installed on device. And if we have a look at this device, hope you can see it a little bit. We see here an application. It's hard to see, so you have to believe me. SVFX Jug Gluon app, and it also shows the beautiful.
I assume you didn't make your own logo for your company, right, Johan?
I didn't get that, but probably because my fan is making too much noise.
Oh, I said you probably didn't make your own logo for your company, right?
I did it with a little help from a GUI designer, but most of it I've done myself. So for the people who don't know me, they know that I'm just kidding. So that's how the Hello World works on Android and on the iOS. With this demo, I try to show how easy it is. So everything is generated by plugins. it's convention over configuration. So if you want to make it, if you want to use the advanced functionality, you can still do, and then you have to code a bit. But this application is actually very easy, and it runs out of the box on iOS and Android. It's not the nicest application. So typically people would say, yeah, okay, that works for Hello World, but not for another application. Now, it does work for other applications, and I can show that. I have another application here, which is what we call comments. You can download this application yourself because it's available. I will immediately go to the website. If you go to bitbucket.org, Gluon OSS samples, you see
So you
the
want to
sample
share your
there.
screen, Johan?
Sorry?
Do you want to share your
Okay,
screen?
thanks for pinging me. You got it?
Yep, it's working now.
So bitbucket.org /Gluon OSS samples shows at this moment one sample. So that's an open set. Gluon OSS contains everything that's from Gluon, and that's open source. So you can download this sample and run it on your iOS device or Android device the same way as I did the Hello World. In Gluon OSS, we also have a scene builder and Charm Down. So I briefly touched Charm Down, which is a component that has abstract device functionality for Android and iOS devices. And yeah, we're very happy to see community contributions to Charm Down already. So I think this is really the way that it works. This is a community effort.
Cool. It's good
So,
to see Jose there coding. He was also on Twitter saying some stuff as well.
yeah, it's he's Mr. Charm Down. So the comments application that you can download, I have it here locally, and it's also a simple JavaFX application. So, but this is now using Glisten, the Gluon client library that allows you to do material design, and it makes things much nicer. So same principles, we can run it on Android and we can run it on iOS, and I will run it on iOS. Yeah, why not just, I'm going to start at the command line because it makes a bit noise on the fan. Launch iPhone sim. So I will launch two versions of comments, one on the iOS simulator and one on the desktop. And the desktop one should be very easy. So you see, this is an application that looks a bit nicer than Hello World, and it uses the Glisten library to create this material design concepts. So this is just some distributed commenting system, but it's all on the client, so there's no server involved. We use Gluon Cloud here to synchronize this list to the backend, and everything is an observable list here. So if one client adds something to another to the list, it's going to be synchronized to the other clients as well. So that actually shows, I think, two things. One, it is possible to create applications in JavaFX and run them on mobile that look much more like native applications than, for example, a web page. And second, it's also possible to have commercial to have enterprise functionality in your native applications. So it's not just hello world and client stuff. It's really data persistence, and so is also possible on this JavaFX applications. So you see now I could actually also show it on the iOS, sorry, on an Android device, but I have to be honest, the Android emulator is not very functional. So we still have issues running JavaFX applications on the Android emulator. Good enough Android devices are very fast, and we use Android devices for development. So if I another comment, add another comment on one device, you see that it's being added on the other device as well. So this is the simulator, iPhone simulator. If you have a real device, and if you believe me, it's working on the Android at this moment like this, it's going to be synchronized. So this is a bit more code than just hello world, but it's yeah, I think it shows that if people ask, is this ready for production now? I think yes, and there are commercial customers that we're working with to create JavaFX applications on mobile devices. So I think this looks. I've seen worse Android applications and iOS applications. So we're still enhancing it, but this is just to show that I think we're ready. All the pieces of the puzzle are there. It's just yeah, it's now just a matter of getting more traction, having more developers using it, more feedback, and I think it's very promising. So if you very briefly want to see how we did the comments application, I really suggest you go to the download page and look at the sample, read the documentation, and I will point you to the documentation in a minute as well. But basically, we have with in Glisten, we have the mobile application, so which is just JavaFX application, but then specifically targeting mobile. The Glisten functionality is mainly styling and a few new controls, and that creates a material design effect. And we're using FXML here, and we're using the Afterburner, the mobile Afterburner framework. So Afterburner is a framework created by Adam Bean, who is really a guru in the enterprise world. And he created Afterburner, which is a very simple injection framework. And we're using a mobile version of this injection framework to have a separation between the presenter and the the model view and the presenter. So you see, we can do injection here, and it all works on mobile devices.
Okay,
I have an interview.
Question for you, Johan.
Sure.
So Keith was wondering if there's any limitations on the JavaFX APIs for what you can accomplish on mobile. Does it support the full API, or there's anything that you can't do, which you could do on desktop?
Yeah, there are a few APIs that are not ported yet. Media is not yet ported. We had some interest from it, and so if there's enough interest, we will do it. 3D is only partially ported, but I think all controls, for example, should work. All layout containers should work. Printing API is not supported, but not supported does not mean that it's not possible. It's just probably not enough interest, so not yet ported over and tested. But technically, there's no reason why not everything from the JavaFX API should be able to work. There's a huge limitation at the moment, though, and that is that while it is possible to use lambdas, as you can see in this. Oh, by the way, this is how you add this nice floating button. You can use lambdas because they will be converted to inner classes by retro lambda. And that's a real pity, but that's because we currently run on top of Dalvik, which does not provide the streams API. It's probably something that can get fixed, but at this moment, if you create JavaFX applications for mobile, don't use the streams API for now. But for example, injection, that's something that you can use. So I was showing this floating action button, which is a Glisten component. I forgot to mention that. So the nice material design effects that you saw, they're all available for free as well. The only thing is we also have them. We sell licenses for them. So if you have a license key and you can get one in the Gluon store, you won't get the next screen. So if you remember, if I start up this application, you might remember that you saw this this screen where it said this is working with a Gluon Charm developer preview. If you have a valid license key, you won't see this this one. And on mobile, your developers won't see this as well. But so that's, again, if you don't care about this pop-up, that's fine. It's it's free to use. If you want this pop-up not to appear in your commercial application, you have to buy a license. So again, this is, I think, the synergy between the in the ecosystem between open source support and still making business out of it. So this is these components are material design styled icons and controls, and there's no they're using the JavaFX controls under the hood. There's no limitation on which JavaFX controls that could be used. Does that answer Keith's question?
Yep, Keith's happy. He's a happy customer. Happy future customer.
Okay, that's excellent. So I think, and I understood I had to wrap up at 3:30. So I wanted to, before I forget it, to show some links to where you can get more information. The JavaFXPorts.org, which contains the overview on the SDKs and overview on how to get started, is at JavaFXPorts.org. So Gluon is at gluonhq.com, which is the commercial entity. Now, while Gluon is at this moment heavily investing in JavaFXPort, it's not the there's nothing that Gluon does that another company can't do, except that we have excellent people working on it already. But everything that we do related to JavaFX on mobile, so the JavaFX API, that's all part of the open source efforts. So all the controls, the JavaFX controls that are part of the JavaFX 8 APIs, they're all in JavaFXPorts. So Gluon has some additional services like the material design APIs and icons and controls and the cloud support, but everything, there's nothing that you need from us if you want to develop it yourself. Of course, I'm very happy to provide services and tools, but I hope that I can make it clear that there's a nice distinction between the open source and commercial efforts. So the samples and everything that's open source from Gluon is at Bitbucket in Gluon OSS. And you can send me a mail at johanvos@gluonhq.com, or follow me on Twitter with Johan Vos being my hashtag. And I think that concludes the presentation. I'm happy to answer questions while I'm awake, though.
Cool. So any other questions for Johan? You have to say hi to him, Alex. Come on. You're working on an article with him, so at least
Hi, Johan.
Hi,
This is
Alex. Nice,
Alexander.
nice to see the progress that you're making, and very good feedback from you.
Yeah,
Actually,
I have a lot of feedback already. I didn't
yeah,
share it
but
with you yet.
that is how it works. That's how we can make progress. It's Well, I'm really sure that JavaFX on mobile is gonna has lots of opportunities. The feedback from the early adopters, people that are using it, has been crucial so far. If I look at where we stand now compared to a year ago, for example, it's amazing, and that's because people are using it and people are providing feedback. So Alex, for example, tried to get it working behind a company firewall with a proxy and some other things that we didn't encounter yet. And the JFX mobile plugin was not capable of working behind the proxy. So we changed that and we made a new version available. And I'm happy to make more changes to get it working for you.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you for the fix.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we've got one question for you from I was ignoring poor Eric, but he's been on Twitter the whole time watching and playing along. So Eric's wondering where he gets the IntelliJ plugin.
If you yeah, let me go to the. I have to search this myself. But we have a documentation section on our Gluon, so it's docs.gluonhq.com. And now the IntelliJ plugin is only being released for 1 week, I think. But there should be information. Maybe it's in the charm. Okay, yeah. So if you go to docs.gluonhq.com and then you click on charm, and then you see ID plugins, the Gluon plugin for IntelliJ. Then it shows how you can get the plugin. So you can get it from JetBrains, or you can install it directly from IntelliJ. So I hope that that works. We have I think we had a blog post about it. I'll leave this open if you want. So we often post new things in the news section from Gluon. Yeah, here it is. So there's the information for IntelliJ. It's, I think, pretty well documented. We tested it with a few users, but again, if you have issues, let us know. We want to make this as good as we can.
Okay, cool. Any other questions in the room for Johan? We're gonna let him get back to sleep, maybe. All right. So thanks very much for the great presentation, Johan.
You're very welcome.
You probably can't hear it, but there's lots of applause here in the room for you.
Oh yeah, I had to turn off my headset, but I really want to thank you because I'm honored to be able to speak at the Silicon Valley JavaFX user group, which has been yeah, a pioneer in the JavaFX. So very glad that you invited me.
Very good. And you can join our meetings too online. All of our meetings are live streamed. Okay, so thanks very much. I'm gonna cut the recording here, and the live stream. So thanks for those of you who are joining us on the live stream as well.